And here we are once again with Iris, and today I have a very special guest, which is Dr. Badia. He opened the door to us, and we're going to learn a little bit more about him or what he's doing and how he's making us feel better. Dr. Badia, welcome.
Thank you.
I got to say, I'm impressed. I did all the walk around from the surgery room to the offices to the patients, and I am amazed.
It's like a mini hospital.
Yes, congratulations.
It's an orthopedic hospital. Yeah, thank you.
How did you start this whole thing? So everybody knows what is it that you're doing out here.
Sure. So I'm the co-founder of what was a very important hand center in Miami near one of the big hospitals. And about 10 years, I split off and wanted to create a very focused center that had everything under one roof, like one-stop shopping. And I wanted to be nice. No reason why a doctor's office has to be sterile.
Exactly.
And at the same time that I was building my clinical office, which we're in now, which has all the technology for diagnostics, and I also built the surgery center. So it's an ambulatory surgery center where I believe in the future most surgery in this country will be done that way.
Right.
In fact, we're going to be doing outpatient hip replacements probably starting in the next 90 days.
Wow.
So yeah,
amazing.
so I do all of my surgery here. I've done 2 surgeries in the past 5 years in a hospital. So
that tells you.
Yeah, so I do everything here.
Perfect, because you brought a very good point. Why would we come here versus a hospital? I'm sure you have done extensive research and you heard it from all of us. What's the difference?
Sure. Well, I can tell you from my own patients, and I'm at Badia hand to shoulder. It's very explanatory. I do from the fingertip, wrist, hand, wrist, elbow, and shoulder, and all of my surgery is done here. So the advantage, of course, is I have the same anesthesiologist who's a cardiac anesthesiologist, so you're in the safest hands. And you have the same surgical team. So it's the same nurses, the same techs. So it's like a symphony when we're in the operating room. It's really very, very precise. And so why would you want to have anything else for your procedure? What I found is that almost everyone, particularly with an injury, who comes to see me had already been somewhere else. And that somewhere else really didn't do much for them. So let's give an example. You fall and injure your wrist at work or at CrossFit or or abuelita hurts, right? So they typically will go to the emergency room because they don't know any different and they don't realize something else existed. So and even a general urgent care center is faster, it's easier, and I do recommend them. But for orthopedic problems, they don't have the expertise. Right. So it's like you coming to see me for my eyes. Yes, yes, I'm an MD, but I really don't know a lot about the eyes.
No.
So what happens with orthopedics is that we felt this should be almost a primary care, is walk in. We call it orthopedics on demand. So in orthopedics, sometimes we have problems because I think a lot of people don't realize that orthopedics is the medical discipline of joints, bones, muscles, ligaments, all the soft tissues that keep us moving. So we started Ortho Now, and in fact the phrase, we trademarked the phrase, we keep you moving. So it's not just for injuries. It's not just for injuries, it's for little aches and pains or wondering why my shoulder, my back isn't still hurting, to avoid injury. So we started this about 7 years ago, but 3 or 4 years ago we got the idea that we should really cookie cutter this. So we franchised it. Right. So we've had great success in Miami. We're about to open our 5th center just in Miami. There's one in Orlando opening shortly. There's 2 in Georgia, in Savannah. There'll be 2 more in Augusta, Georgia, and we just signed Michigan, the entire state. Oh wow! So those are people in Michigan who will basically use all of our protocols, our policy and procedure manual, our clinical guidelines, how to market and educate the public.
That's very important right there.
Sure. Yes. How to go into companies and say ergonomic assessment, how to actually say, are your heavy manual workers lifting boxes or using their chainsaws the right way?
All that has to do with it.
Exactly. And then of course the rehabilitation, which is also part of it. Even though we don't do all the rehab on our patients, we do have particular types of rehab that we do. So it's all under one facility here in Doral, and of course the other facilities have different components. Some may or may not have an MRI, but all have digital X-ray and all have basic diagnostics and treatment.
And let me tell you what I love the most, because I was a patient here. I came here with my daughter too. And what I love was the easy way that you bundle everything together. It's like when you compare the prices, when I've been to emergency rooms versus yours, what a difference.
But the sad thing is, I think the public hasn't figured out yet that you get this bill or you have this copay, and in the end, you still have to go see someone else. And I think that's the thing. I'm actually trying to convey this now to our president through someone who I've treated, who knows him well. And I've tried to convey that the problem with U.S. healthcare is the redundancy, the repetition.
Right.
Almost everyone who sees me has had an x-ray somewhere else. But the problem is a person ordering that x-ray might not even look at it themselves, and they certainly aren't making a decision.
Right.
So why would I order an EKG of the heart if I'm not going to look at it and I'm not going to make a recommendation of medication or catheterization or even heart surgery if that's not what I do?
Exactly.
And that's what we've allowed the system to do, is that people go to places and tests are done, sometimes treatments are done, when it's really not the specific person.
And do you think that the way we share information, we have a lot that we still have to learn? Because like you said right now, if you could look through the records and say, hey, wait a second, they did have an EKG.
Right.
I might not need it, but the next person that comes and look at it and it pertains to them, oh, there it is. Let me
that was the goal of President Bush some years ago, decided, and I thought it was a very bright concept of an EHR, national EHR, electronic health record.
Right.
So you would, and the problem is we're inundated with passwords and codes. But the truth is, if everybody's just used their social security number, maybe a simple password, and you had your health record in the cloud, then, the problem is all these EMR systems, and one just got slapped with a big federal fine, right? So all these EMRs, they're kind of in it for business, but they're not talking with each other, and they're not. So we have a long way to go. And honestly, I think we should simplify it. We made it incredibly complex, and even treatment. I mean, there's nothing complicated about your kid being on a soccer field, spraining their ankle, and saying, "Let's go to an Ortho Now." And at that Ortho Now, we get an X-ray. We have that saved digitally. If we needed to send that back to the pediatrician,
there it is,
or to the surgeon, because we don't have the knee surgeon or the ankle surgeon sitting in Ortho Now necessarily. But with our unique app, we can transmit that to them.
That's right.
And that's how we communicate, by the way.
Let's look at the app, and then I think she could take a shot on it, of the app, because I think it's very good. From the time you set up an appointment, that's the way I did it.
So the app is but the interesting thing is I ask people, friends, and I'll show them the app. They go, "Oh, that's very interesting." And I go, "Well, but download it." Because when your kid gets hurt or when you cut yourself washing dishes, that's not the time to look for the app.
And start downloading it,
so all the viewers, take 12 seconds if you think, take 12 seconds and just type in your app store, and we have it in Android now as well. So the problem is, there it goes. Sometimes our Wi-Fi's not. So you would go. So here we have about Ortho Now, the locations, but let's say it was urgent. I'd go on my way now in red, and it's got a little car. I'll explain why it has a little car. Here's the locations just in Miami. So I'm at the blue pin, so basically I'm right on top of Ortho Now Doral. So I'd go on my way now. So it's open, because it's open. If it wasn't open, it wouldn't let you.
Okay, fantastic.
Here's the hours. I can put, let's see, 5:30. Well, I can be there at 5:35, right? It's right upstairs. And then I can take a picture of my ankle sprain.
Oh, wow. And send it right over.
And say, my kid just sprained her ankle playing soccer. Oh, and the other thing is, I'm a mom, and I'm so frantic about my kid being hurt, or I'm hurt. I can't drive. I can call an Uber.
Fantastic.
Right there. There's the Uber icon. Okay?
And they can call you right there.
So this is pretty innovative. And then inside our app, you can also communicate, the clinicians communicate between each other. So say in Ortho Now Biscayne, in fact it happened yesterday, there was a wrist fracture. I saw the x-ray, I said, I think that one I may need to do a minor procedure on. So then I'll see them the next day or two, and talk about the procedure.
My God, that's the beauty of technology. Let's use the technology,
That's
right?
the problem.
Because that's where it is. We tend to forget it, and especially with the doctors, we think that you still have to go home. And remember the good old days where I dial, doctor, come over. Doctors go knocking,
No, we really don't use the phone much. In fact, you don't see my phone. Years ago when my phone would ring constantly. Now my phone doesn't ring. A text will come through. Here's the X-ray. Here's an MRI image, and I can make a treatment decision.
Yeah.
And most of my international patients now, I use telemedicine. I use Zoom Health.
Yes.
And Zoom is like a Skype, but it's protected. It's very private. It's encrypted. And I can explain, and I can examine them remotely. I just can't touch them.
Right.
Which is my favorite part, right?
Exactly.
Doctors. We have to put our hands on our patients and empathize.
Don't you guys do some remote surgeries nowadays with the military?
Well, that's starting. I've done remote surgery where I'm teaching, and I've broadcasted to Europe. In terms of surgery, the surgical robots, the most famous one is Da Vinci, and the Da Vinci, you can control it, and then obviously there has to be a surgeon in the other side, but the robot will do the critical part. That's
amazing.
So
oh my God.
but we have a ways to go. I think the public is enamored with that because it is it is very sexy, but it's not. We still need our hands and our judgment.
I think that's something that I still would rather have somebody be there presently than remotely. Robot.
Well, it's funny you mentioned about Da Vinci because the Da Vinci robot we built, me and 4 of the colleagues, 10 years ago built the largest surgical training lab, cadaver lab in the world, here also in Doral. And
yes, that's right.
Yeah, but unfortunately we had a little problem, and they didn't want us to use the word Da Vinci anymore. So it is called the Mark Center, and the viewers can Google Mark. It's MARC, Miami Anatomical Research Center. So not only are we treating patients here, but we're really trying to make advances in research and teaching and sharing these ideas, not keeping them to ourselves.
Fantastic. And how did you get all of this? Because let me tell you, you're amazing. You do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you're so good at it. What's next for Dr. Badia here?
No, I'm very focused on Ortho Now because I want it to be a metaphor almost for how healthcare can be more efficient, better customer service. In fact, we use it is a book called The Endangered Customer. And The Endangered Customer is a book only about this thin, where there's 8 pillars of customer service.
Okay.
Give them more than what they ask for. Never say no. Be expert in, be informed of the advice you're going to give, and so all these things we base. So I want healthcare, not just in orthopedics, but to be just more pleasant and more efficient and more cost effective. It's really breaking the bank in the U.S. And the problem is between the Republicans and the Democrats, it's all a fight.
And you see what's going on right now.
I mean, why should the emphasis be on, 22 million people will not be insured with this? How do they know that?
I know.
That's not the problem. You know what the problem with healthcare is? Make it more efficient. Then there's so much money left over that you can treat the less fortunate in society for free. Because as a society, we should be able to treat everybody. But if everybody who comes to see me has already seen 4 other doctors, which is not uncommon, and that's what Ortho Now is trying to do. So that's what's next for Alejandro Badia. Because
I love the mission. And obviously, something else that I was going to suggest, I would love to have you little videos, of how we can prevent. Like, for example, you said exactly, Mom at a soccer game, and I will panic. I go, oh my God, the ankle is out. What do I do? Yeah. Of course, call you. But maybe there's some things that you could say that we could do when you have an injury. What's one of the first few things you should do? Not move the person or wrap it around?
It depends, but if it's an extremity injury, right? Yes, immobilize it and then ice immediately. Ice is your friend.
Okay.
Yeah, never heat.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah. I hurt my back once, and I remember I got into a jacuzzi thinking it was a little sprain, and I ended up having 3 small vertebra fractures and 2, and I got so much worse because of that. Because when it's heat, what happens? The vessels dilate, they open, and everything swells. So here I'm an orthopedic surgeon, and I did the wrong thing. So ice.
It happens to a lot of us.
Ice at the time of injury. That's right. So ice and splinting, and really get yourself to the right person. Okay. Don't think I have patients, I tell you, who say they got hurt and they go, well, I went to Jackson. Well, Jackson's a let me tell you, if I break my femur or I have a head injury, please take me to Jackson Memorial because you want a big trauma center.
Right.
But if you have an ankle sprain or a minor thing, you don't necessarily have to go to the closest place. That's for a heart attack.
Yes, exactly.
Okay? When you have an injury, find the right person so that you do it once.
Yeah, do it right.
You do it right, and that's what Ortho Now is trying to do, and that's why we have 5 strategically placed centers, and we're really trying to our mantra is changing how expert orthopedic healthcare is delivered.
Perfect.
Now.
Oh, I know. And what's that website again? So everybody can look at it and find the closest one to you. I know, like you said.
Ortho Now Care. So the website is Ortho Now Care because we think care has to be an important component of that. Because we care for people. So it's orthonowcare.com. And then the app is just Ortho Now.
Ortho Now, perfect. Because, it's important that everybody knows that there are options out there, and find it. Just go there and anywhere you are. I don't care where you are in Dade County, Broward County, you'll find one close to you.
The issue about the app is who doesn't have a phone now?
Exactly.
I mean,
basically, that's what we do now. We live by these things.
Yeah.
These smartphones, smart tablets.
So that's what I implore the viewers to do is take 10 seconds. Hopefully you did it while you're listening to us.
Exactly, please.
Because you don't know when you need it. And it might not even be that you need it. Your friend says, boy, my back's been hurting me. Isn't it nice to be able to say, hey, here's a place. Look, here's where we're at talking. And here's the nearest Ortho Now. And it'll say it's 1.8 miles away. And the GPS can take you there.
So follow it, feel better. Us trying to make you guys feel better, give you options because let me tell you, health and feeling good, that's what life is all about. It's everything because after we don't feel good and we're sick, let me tell you, nothing else matters. But thank you, Dr. Badia, for being here. I hope to have you soon again. I love to have more of your tips, how we can feel better.
We have to come into surgery sometime.
Absolutely. We would love to do that.
Sort of not too graphic. We'll do some arthroscopic.
So I'll be the first one that I don't want to be fainting there. No, just kidding. But yeah, absolutely. We'd love to. Absolutely. And we're showing, by the way, we're going to be showing the surgery rooms and everything else. So while we're talking, the guys will share and see it so we'll know exactly what it looks like.
It's not as scary as it seems.
No, it doesn't. Thank you once again.
Thank you.